Today's show brought to you live from Lounge Media Group Studios. It's Pedro and the Freight Hound with the Logistics Lounge. The views and opinions expressed on this show by its guests are not necessarily those of Lounge Media Group or the show host. So if you sue someone, make sure it's the party responsible for hurting your feelings. Also, grow up, be an adult, and understand not everyone thinks like you. And that's okay.
Well, hello, everybody. Man, it's good to be back, dude. I feel like we've been gone forever. Did we do a show? We did not do a show. It's literally been a week, so I guess it has been forever.
As
Oh man, dude, that last week was absolutely amazing, man. Like I am still trying to wrap my head around how fantastic that show was.
yeah, no, it was a great time, dude. Definitely. I knew it was gonna happen. I'm for sure going to that show in Alabama because I was literally just sitting here looking through the videos and I was like, got the bug.
That's good. What is that one in? That's like a
That's
month
the
away, huh? It's
second
like
week of
that's what
December.
that's what I thought. It was like the 13th or something
Yeah,
like
so it's
that or
down there
whatever.
by Birmingham. So I don't know if I have any buddies in Birmingham, but I think it's only like 2 hour drive from there to where my sister lives in Georgia. So
Hmm.
yeah, no
Nice.
excuses.
How far of a drive is
Or
it down there? How for you? Just to the show?
probably like 3 hours.
Oh, that's not too bad. Nah,
Yeah, no.
heck yeah. Is
After
it
if I drove 7 hours to Illinois, I can definitely drive 4 hours down to Alabama for the kids,
very
and
true?
we'll
Very
definitely
true.
we'll have to do something because it is a toy drive, so I have to get on top of that.
Is it just a one day thing? I don't know what I do. I had that
It is a
flyer
1 day
somewhere
thing. It
already.
is that Saturday, so.
I need to find that flyer, man. I don't know what the heck to
But
do with that
I'm
thing.
gonna check it out though. Um, See who all we know that's gonna be going there, and maybe go a day early, get a
Yeah,
little cheap hotel, or just sleep in the Jeep, and then hit it hard on Saturday and dip out.
yeah. We got a month, dude. Reach out to some folks, find out who's all going, and
Oh,
try to.
actually, Clint's going, so I'm gonna see what his plan is. Maybe maybe I'll
Oh,
finally get to live the dream of putting my Jeep on the on the car.
on Patriot, yeah, right. That'd
Yeah,
be
man.
awesome, dude. That'll be fun. Yeah, I know. That's
Yeah,
right. He is going because he knows the guy that puts it on or whatever. So
I know. You got his number or information, right?
I do, man. That's what I said. I got to find that flyer. The dude gave me a flyer. I don't know what the heck I
Well,
did
I'll
with it. I
just hit
had it
up
on my
Clint
desk.
then.
Yeah, like because Clint knows the guy.
I would have
So
talked to him, but I was about to actually do that interview with Chrome Shack. Shout out Chrome Shack. Awesome people, dude.
yeah,
Sure, yesterday, dude. Super comfy.
yeah, they're amazing. We need to get them on the show. Get them to tell the long form of their story.
Only if Van hops on.
Only Van, I know, right? Dude. That dude, man, he was so cool, man. Like he did not want to be in front of the camera, but you wanted to talk to him off the camera. He'd talk to you for as long as you
I
wanted
know.
about
That's what I was
everything.
saying. Like
Yeah,
pre-interview, I was like, "What
I
are we
know.
waiting for, brother?"
Exactly, man. I do
We
so
need to
damn
we need
cool,
to
man.
start hitting people, hitting them with it quick. Just cameras rolling, mic's already going.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Yeah, do like some covert filming. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Put
I
the
don't
put
really
the
like to do this. Like, well, buddy, you've been doing it for the past 15 minutes.
15.
So.
Yeah, right. Oh man, that's good stuff, dude. Yeah, they were good people. Everybody we met there was great, man. So
Yeah.
I had a wonderful time, man. We got to just hang out. We got to hang out with a bunch of friends again, man. So, it's what the group just becomes bigger and bigger. All these people, and it's just fun, man. It's just like we were talking this weekend. It just sucks that we all have to travel hundreds, or 1,000+ miles to come and hang out with each other for a weekend. But I mean, hey, with that said, that's a pretty damn dedicated friend group. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no doubt.
All right, well
No
let's
doubt.
get to some news and then we'll bring on our lovely guest. So, Lounge Media News brought to you by AR Doc Pro and sourced from truckingnewshub.com. All right, talking about non-domiciled CDLs. I think I've seen a few people put this out today, but not very many because it just hit this afternoon. So, not long ago, Secretary of Transportation Sean Duffy announced sweeping action against non-domiciled CDL holders who are licensed by the state of California. Well, earlier today, USDOT, which is Department of Transportation, for y'all that don't know what that acronym is, issued a statement accusing California of widespread misconduct with the issuance of non-domiciled CDLs. The tweet from Secretary Duffy read, at California Governor, this is from X again, so I'm just reading what it says. That's to Newsom. At California Governor and his state were caught red-handed after weeks of claiming they did nothing wrong. Now that we've exposed their lies, 17,000 illegally issued trucking licenses are being revoked. This is just the beginning. California must revoke every illegally issued CDL or I will pull the $160 million in federal funds. USDOT, however, said in their statement that notices have been issued to the 17,000 CDL holders that their license no longer meets federal requirements and will expire in 60 days. FMCSA requires California to provide its full audit of all non-domiciled CDLs so the agency can verify that every illegally issued one has been revoked and that the failures that allowed these licenses to be issued are corrected. Finally, it's worth noting also on Monday, November 10th, the U.S. Court of Appeals, the District of Columbia, ordered an administrative stay on the FMCSA emergency interim final rule issued in late September, which limits the authority of state drivers licensing agencies to issue and renew non-domiciled CDL permit or CDLs and permits. That came after a legal challenge arguing that the FMCSA failed to follow proper rulemaking procedures before issuing that final rule that we're speaking about without notice and public comment period. So kind of working against what they're doing here. But hey, stuff is going on. They're saying they're going to cancel these 17,000 CDLs out of the state of California. I would assume that they're definitely going to, do it out of other states as well. I can't remember. I know there was another state that they were kind of talking about, had a lot of them and stuff too. So we'll see. But man, we've been standing on the show for a while now. Every time we start talking about this stuff with the FMCSA that's going on now, like they are moving freaking fast on stuff, man. Just lightning fast.
Yep. I did see some the other day, and I can't speak on it specifically, for the numbers and stuff, but I have seen there is some pushback, like upwards of like 200, 300,000 domiciled.
Yeah. Across the U.S. Yeah, I want to say I saw something similar to that too, man.
Yeah, and they're like kind of kicking back on it, and I don't know who it is. This guy on X is like Ken and Dynamo or someone just pushed back on it. He's like, well, when are you going to start doing something right, bro? It's like, oh, it's crazy. But I don't know. Well, this will be the telltale right here, man. California, we all know how they operate. So, and I'm saying that I love California, but I just don't really agree with how they operate half the time. But we'll just have to keep up with this piece of news right here.
Yeah, man. I'm sure it's going to, like I said, I'm sure this will be hitting consistently, man. As soon as something happens, there will be an update out about it. And I expect, like I said, to see it about some other states and stuff as well. So there you go, man. They're following through, pulling these people off the road. You know what I mean? And hey, like I said, I for one am all for it. If you shouldn't have the license, you shouldn't be out there on the road if it was issued, incorrectly. Obviously you should have a way to correct it, which is, what they're giving them. Hey, if you can meet the criteria to actually get the CDL that you need, hey, by all means do it. But if not, sorry, Charlie. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm there for it, buddy. Works for me,
Let's go. Well, I'm responding to our great people.
I see
here
that, man.
The,
all
YouTube
those,
comments.
yeah, man. I see all that. That's lovely, dude. Absolutely lovely. All right, well, we're gonna bring in our guest. So, David Correll with Telegraph, everybody. You were the first person ever that said favorite music, anything jazz. It's like, dude, cool, dude.
I love that.
I'm so honored by that pick. Thank you, fellas.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I was going to do the song that is your favorite song, but I was like, man, it's really slow, and I couldn't find anything to match a video to match it up with. So I was like, I'll just have to pick something a little bit more up tempo. So
hey, I like
love it, dude. Love it.
Thank you.
How you doing today, man? We appreciate you joining us.
Hey, doing great. It's fall in New England where I'm at, so it's a pretty time to be here. Working on some interesting projects and excited to get to know you all.
Yeah, man, fantastic. See that it's already dark there. That has been a continuing conversation the last few weeks about how we all hate that it gets dark at 5:30.
And somehow every year I get like surprised and indignant about it, even though it's the same thing every year. You
Yeah,
think
I
I'd be
know.
used
Yeah.
to it by now,
Oh
but
yeah,
nope.
it sneaks up on you. You know,
Yeah.
at first I'm like, yes, extra hours sleep, and then the next day I'm like, no,
Exactly.
it's dark. But that's just me.
Well, David, before we get into it, man, want to give you a chance, try to give our guests a chance. Do you want to touch on the news? Did you hear the news? Do you have anything to say on the non-domiciled stuff, man? Is that something you follow? I know you're a big data guy and all that.
I did, yeah. I appreciated your and I should say I appreciate being on the show. I've been listening to several episodes, and I really like the way you let people tell their stories about logistics. So I was thinking about that and thinking about the news, and so my upfront point, I guess, is that I've not studied that particular data, so I don't have a unique read on those numbers. But the one thing I have studied that I think relates, and maybe we'll get into today, is that when we look at driver utilization, one of the things that we can observe is that drivers get better utilization, meaning their turn times are lower when they're able to repeat visit the same facilities. And so, where that comes to my mind is that when we think about efficiency improvements in US trucking, one of the ways we do it is with longer tenured people serving consistent routes. And so I think that some of this may provide opportunities or appropriately prioritize the long tenured drivers who have been here carrying freight efficiently and safely for a long time. So
I like
I can
that.
speak to.
I like that approach on it. That's a very good one. And it is something that people have been saying is that a lot of these long tenured safe drivers that done things consistently right, they're getting pushed out of the market, priced out of the market, because all these new people coming in don't understand how business run, how things are doing to them. It's just a money thing right now, So very, very good outlook on that, David.
Thank you. And it gets into all sorts of stuff we may talk about, but I think the other piece of the news that sort of relates is, and I'm sure you guys know as well as I do, the sort of the ongoing battle about is there a truck driver shortage or not?
Oh, there's not, man.
I
It's
100%
equality.
agree.
It's equality.
Well, I think it gets to that point that, like, personally, I guess my take on it is that there's not a truck driver shortage. We're just squandering too much of the time of the existing drivers we have. If we
Yep.
could get, stop squandering so much time at pickup and drop off, the community of drivers we had is more than capable of carrying the freight moves that we generate. If you don't see it that way, and you don't see it as a utilization problem or an efficiency problem, the way that people have approached fixing it is we'll just throw more bodies at it. We'll just get drivers from everywhere we can instead of trying to make the best use of the drivers we have. And so one thing that's kind of encouraging to me about this whole sort of news cycle is maybe we're going to finally give drivers the attention and respect they deserve. That, to my mind, the way that you do that most rationally is make efficient use of their time. Let them get in and out and get back home quickly, move more loads, make more money, make the system more efficient.
If only.
Yeah. And I only laughed about the driver shortage thing because a certain organization was very beaten down the door about driver shortages, and then they come back and say, no, it's not a shortage of drivers, it's a shortage of good drivers. And I'm
quality,
like, quality of drivers. Yeah. Right.
I don't know. I think the good consensus on that, and then we'll get into you, David, is I feel it's more of a retention problem is what it is than a driver problem. We've discussed it. It goes into people. There's tons of people that have CDLs that just don't drive. You know what I mean? So you could easily obscure the data with who's in a truck versus who holds a CDL or vice versa, and blah blah blah. And but it's totally a retention problem. 1,000% that's what it is. And funny. When I got into trucking in 2008, they were saying there was a driver shortage then, and here we are almost 20 years later, and it's the same, and it's like, come on, dude, like there's no dang way that this has been a problem for 20 years and no one has figured out a problem with it, or a solution to the problem. So
I think that's really kind of a fundamental change that's interesting, having observed over that similar time horizon in this industry. Like, for a long time, I think there were a lot of people who felt like this driver shortage narrative is not true, but it was still the prevailing view sort of I don't know, in government and maybe in Washington, but it's changing. I mean, I think the prevailing view across media, and now, we see some comments made by Secretary Duffy that you mentioned, that narrative's lock on our highest levels of decision making is loosening, or is not as strong as it was 10 years ago.
Agree on that, man. Agreed. All right, David. We're gonna quit babbling here and actually get to talking about you, man, and what you do. You're really our first. I think he's our first guest about rail. Period, huh, Hunter? Yeah. So, dude, like we're yeah. This is going to be interesting. Like Hunter was saying backstage, that's a real hard niche to kind of get into. So, really excited to get into this. So, David, why don't you tell us who you are and how you got into logistics and how you got to be where you are with Telegraph today?
Sure, thank you. Gosh, and I'm honored to be your first rail guest, hopefully first of many, because I think it's a really fascinating space. So David Correll, I currently serve as Director of Freight Market Intelligence at a company called Telegraph. What we do at Telegraph is it's a software as a service business. So we have a platform that enhances rail visibility and unlocks all sorts of value for people who ship things on rail, also for the people who own rail cars and for the railroads themselves. So it's really, you can think of it as sort of a one-stop shop for all sorts of rail planning, pricing, invoicing information. Kind of how I got here is maybe kind of a circuitous route. I'm from Iowa originally, and there's a lot of farming and trucking in Iowa, so I was always interested in those industries. My early career was not in that. I was in the Russian oil and gas sector, so I spent some time, living in Russia, living in Kazakhstan. Came back, worked for the U.S. Department of Energy for a while, monitoring Russian oil and gas developments. Then worked for a private consultancy working on Russia, Iraq, and Libyan oil and gas developments. Did that for a while, and then kind of thought, gosh, my family in Iowa could use more of me around. But if I go back to Iowa, no one there is going to pay me to know about Russian, Iraq, and Libyan oil and gas fields. So I need to learn about something else. So I went back to grad school for agriculture and economics. With that, I started to get involved in logistics and decided to stay on for a PhD with the support of a grant from ConocoPhillips to design agricultural logistics systems. And, when I was doing that, I was lucky that I had that financial support from the company to do my studies. And one of my bosses said, "Have you ever thought about teaching a class?" And I said, "No, I don't have to, because my shit's we can swear, right?"
Yes. yes, 100%. Yeah.
Okay, I'm not going to teach classes because my shit's paid for, as you will, with the sponsorship or the scholarship. And I had a very good boss who said, "Well, I don't care. Like, this is what people do when you get a PhD, so you better at least try it, so you know what it's like." And he really changed my life with that direction, because when I did it, it turned out, I loved it. I really love that experience of taking something that people don't understand or have not previously been exposed to, and going on that walk with them to get them to understand it and enjoy it and have it be applicable to what they do. So I started teaching supply chain management there at Iowa State, got a job at Clark University in Worcester, Massachusetts. So I brought the family out to this part of the woods, to New England. And then when I was there, a job opened up with probably my two favorite researchers in supply chain and logistics at MIT. And I thought, well, I'll apply. Who knows what'll happen? Got that job. Thankfully, worked with them for about 7 years. And in that, I got to co-direct a research group called the Freight Lab, where I did all sorts of trucking research, which, we'll get into. My big, insight there that I made most of my research around was the studying of electronic logging devices to identify utilization issues in American trucking. Sorry, this is going on so long. Only two more stops.
No, I'm listening. I'm just sitting here thinking, like, damn, do we have to take an IQ test to be this guy's friend? You know what I mean?
Oh, no, we should tell the story of how we connected. I think that would be fun. So anyway, I was doing that for a while. I was teaching MIT, researching for a while, really focusing on trucking. My my mentor and my director there created this thing called the Freight Lab, and he really focused on pricing. He's really a great researcher around shipper carrier relationships, how rates get figured out. And I thought, well, that's his stuff. I got to find my own corner here. And, going back to that, growing up in Iowa, being around trucking, having family in trucking, I thought I want to study the experience of the American truck driver. So my angle will be the people, not the prices. And so I started something called the Driver Initiative, and I just really tried to study everything I could learn about driving truck in the United States, and look forward to talking with you guys about that. So then from there, maybe we'll get into it. Some of that research got a lot of attention, and I got invited to testify before Congress on what I found about the state of the American truck driver. So I did that. I made all these recommendations to Congress about what I thought would make the industry better. They didn't do any of them. And so journalists got a hold of me later and said, basically, do you want to share how you think they ignored all of your ideas? And I said, sorry, that's my dog. I said, no, I don't. I'd like to share what I thought that they did right was they created this thing called the Freight Logistics Optimization Works. This was during the tail end of the Biden presidency. So, I thought that was a great idea. I had nothing to do with it. It wasn't what I suggested, but once I learned what it was, I thought, that could really help. It ended up that the White House and the Department of Transportation saw that and said, hey, would you want to come work on it with us? I did that for a little bit, and that was really a project all around ocean shipping. So helping carriers understand what was about to come into U.S. ports with like a 90-day forecast. Some of our best models could tell you volumes coming in daily for 90 days. Did that for a while, then was part of the Doge chainsaw cuts. I fell under that saw. And luckily for me, a company that I always admired and a founder that I knew from my time at MIT had built Telegraph. And there was a home for me here, bringing all those skill sets to the rail sector. So sorry for the very long lead in, but that's how I got here from Iowa.
No, that is a perfectly fine. Go ahead, Hunter.
That's what we look for.
I'm just like, I'm just still digesting. It's like where to start, but we need to just start with the rail thing, I guess, because that's okay, Dave. We're gonna schedule you for your monthly show for the next 6 months, so you can come back and talk.
I'd be honored
about everything. Oh man, dude, you have been there. You have been around the block, as they say, David.
Hey, another thing too, Pedro. I think this is like the first person we've met that also has a degree in freight, or like it has worked in that side of things.
Yeah.
But MIT, I went to Georgia Southern.
I know, right? Yeah. I went to a state college in North Texas. So I mean,
and you got Steve McGee over here, been driving for 100 years.
I would say the people doing the work know a lot more about the work than the people in the university studying it some of the time. So
but the analytics though, man, like one thing I picked out of that, because and Pedro's gonna hate me for this, but the ocean side, I mean, all right, trucking is the backbone, but the imports and drayage, that's the bloodline.
Yeah. That's a great way to put it.
Yeah. Trademark.
You should. That's what I loved about the project I worked on for the government was called the Freight Logistics Optimization Works. And again, this was not my idea. I was just lucky to get to contribute to it. And their basic idea was, what if we could pool together the data from the ocean carriers about what's inbound to U.S. ports? And you don't even need really fancy math or anything, because it takes about a month to cross the ocean. And then about a month before that is when the factory is making its plan to put stuff on the ships. So there's already 2 months of lead time.
Oh, yeah.
And basically, the idea was, gosh, if we could get all that data, protect it with the data protections of the U.S. government, we could let people know, here are the volumes that are going to be coming into the Port of Long Beach, let's say every day for the next 90 days. And then that would help with things like, are there enough chassis at the port to move the freight? Have the drayage people, are they able to schedule effectively? So it was really an excellent idea that I think could help all sorts of drayage carriers, really everyone.
Absolutely, because I mean, you have import data now, but it's all historical. I mean,
Yeah.
the most forecast I really get is, like a customer that, like you were saying, it takes 2 months of planning, but before that, there's that sales process too, where it's like, okay, this might be happening, but then 6 months down the line, they're like, yeah, we ended up going with someone else, and it's just a whole lot of jumble. But to have that, I mean, during COVID,
Yeah.
like the or even pre that, all the chassis shortages when 2019 was booming, 2018 was booming. Long Beach was the busiest they've ever been, and nobody knew how to react to it.
That, that's exactly what it was born out of. And for the chassis providers, I loved working with them. They would say, if you can give me 30 days out, that's good, but that's still not necessarily enough to reposition all of those chassis to be ready to go. You
Right.
need a really good amount of lead time to get equipment in place when the freight needs it. So, hopefully the project survives. The DOTs behind it. Gosh, I think there's well over 24 companies. I'm not sure the current number, but contributing data, trying to make it a success. So I think it's good for all of us.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, especially folks that don't really understand TEUs. That's a 20 equivalent foot unit. And then you're talking millions of TEUs a month. So if it's a 3% increase, that could be an extra 150 to 300,000 containers coming in a month. And these ports, which I still don't understand why they're not 24/7, but they got lunch breaks.
Yeah.
They shut down. Oh, you can only return this empty container from this certain steamship line at this certain terminal at on these days. And it's like, how does this make sense? Like, we're seeing some other ports, and I'm not trying to get this all on Andreas because we got to get to the rail, but ports like Charleston or Houston where it's pretty free flow. They've made it easy. And in that sector, there's been no regulation so far. It seems every terminal at each port runs on their own schedule, their own times, and it just creates a lot of this backup, man. The ultimate bottleneck.
Oh, it really is. And it's interesting that, I'll be curious your guys' thoughts, but the same thing can happen, I think, in the jargon would be surface transportation or rail and trucking. But when I was studying, with the MIT work, I studied, it was around 4,000 drivers, ELD logs over around 4 years, looking for things that gum up the gears and cause delays. And so, one of the things that came out of that was sometimes the driver would be sent to a facility and they would arrive on a Saturday, but no one told that driver that facility is not open on Saturday. Or they'd get there on Friday and it'd go to a Monday. So that weekends off thing, I think hits the trucking community too. And it's such a simple thing that if we could just codify that into the software systems, maybe we could avoid some of these hassles for drivers. So weekends off really hits everywhere.
Oh yeah. And I mean, even that, you're expecting Friday, hey, I live 2 miles down or 2 hours from this shipper or receiver. And then, I'm going to go have family time, this, that, and the other. Or I got a load that's picking up same day. Like, it creates a lot of chaos, which is unnecessary, especially in these days. Like, it's, it's interesting, man. Well, David, dude, yeah.
Right on. Man, thank you for being interested in this stuff because, I think the freight community loves it. Folks like us like it, but you got to have a mind to get in the weeds of logistics to think about all that stuff. So it's fun to meet you guys in your audience that I think is interested in this stuff too.
Well, this is what I tell people before we move on. It's not a job, it's a lifestyle. And those that understand it, stick through the weeds. Those that don't, I think create more problems, but that's for another conversation.
All right, Mr. David, let's talk about telegraph and the rail stuff. You've kind of touched on, throughout your career, every sector of logistics, and I know you said that the guy who does telegraphs an old friend of yours from MIT, but give us a rundown of, what about the rail, why the rail, and what you guys do at Telegraph. And, if you want to just keep rolling into some of these data statistics and stuff that we were talking about with this PDF that you sent us, what folks can be looking at and the importance of that stuff. you know, as Hunter says, because that's kind of like part of the bloodline. You know what I mean?
Oh, happy to. Yeah. And thank you guys for taking a look at that. So, I think what the co-founders of Telegraph were thinking about when they created it was really that, rail is such an important part of the American economy. It doesn't move as much as trucking, but it moves a lot of stuff, and it moves important intermediate goods, from mines to factories, all sorts of stuff that has to go, and containers too. But the first insight was the visibility just isn't there the same way it is for trucking and the same way it is for parcel. And just as sort of evidence of that, or to illustrate that, there was a congressional hearing, 3 months ago, where one of the Congress people kind of got excited in his comments. It was a hearing about freight and rail. And he said, I just think it's absurd that I can order something for $10 off Amazon and I can see on my phone where it is and when it's going to get to my house. I can spend $20,000 to send a rail car across the country. I don't know where it is, and I have like a week-long window of when it could arrive. Like, I think even if you're not a freight specialist, that seems like, well, depending on who you are, that seems like a big problem. Or if you're the founders of the company that I work for now, that seems like a big opportunity to say, there's a need here to improve visibility. So that's one of the things that we offer. There's a need here to improve estimated time of arrival. So, all sorts of things have to happen, including the drayage community, the warehouse associates. When freight's coming in, you need to know when it's coming in to pre-stage. And so one of the things we offer is a patented and really outperforming ETA algorithm. So estimating when your freight rail is actually going to get there. Other things that are sort of more in the weeds, maybe, just like with trucking, there's demurrage costs. And so sometimes people, particularly, a big sort of interesting thing that people don't know about the rail industry is that a lot of the rail cars are owned by rail car lessors. So when you see those rail cars going by, they're not necessarily owned by, it's a big percentage.
That is interesting.
You wouldn't think of it. I didn't know it till I got in. And one way to think about those folks is they're kind of like landlords for these rail cars, really. They're just assets that they're trying to, rent out and see used. But then they, we were able to develop solutions for them too. They want to know, well, where are the rail cars sitting? Where are they not moving? Which of my customers or clients who are leasing from me are not using the rail cars that they have on contract? Maybe we can figure out something better there. So there were a lot of players in the space that were hungry for sort of a modern dashboard. And that's really what Telegraph does. And then where I came in, where I was lucky to stay in contact with these folks, is all of that is, operational day to day. Most of the people who log into our system are the people who, maybe you work for some kind of manufacturer. You get your inputs from a mine in Wyoming. You send them to an assembly facility in St. Louis. You log in and see where's that at? When's it going to be there? Has the date of arrival changed? Do I need to alert people in St. Louis that it's going to be there a little late? Something like that. Where I'm coming in now is saying, let's help people look ahead the next 6 months. And this is where I think we'll get to some of that data we were talking about. What's going to happen on the railroad network in the next 6 months? So that maybe if I'm that shipper, let's say, maybe I should think about moving more or less volume by rail in the next 6 months, because truck and rail are really always competing for the same freight. Maybe I have some opportunity to leverage a different price, or maybe I should be aware the price increases are coming my way. I'm trying to build out a practice within the company to help our customers be ready for those kind of changes.
Well, I'm glad you bring that up. So I work for a refrigerated LTL consolidator, and our primary commodity is wine. And one of my biggest competitors is the rails. However, what you were saying, it does come down to, because I have some people, they'll have an opening, or they're releasing a new wine, or it's, $1,500 for a single bottle of wine. So do you want that on the rail, or you want that kept special in your refrigeration? However, if it's, wine that's, let's say Barefoot, for example, that is in all the grocery stores and all the Walmarts and everything, you can afford to handle that transit time. If it gets a little hot, if it gets a little bit cold, you're not so much worried about the quality. However, it's always cheaper. the time takes a little bit longer, but in the long haul, like what you're getting at, yeah, like where does it come down to, because I mean, yes, it's competitive, but at the same time, I think everything in logistics should work in an ebb and flow. There's certain times for this, certain times for that, but that is, I don't know. That's something that's always battered my brain, but also I think it comes down with education to your people, though, like what you're talking about.
What's your kind of geography there? Where are you moving to and from with the wine?
So we pick up a lot from the Pacific Northwest, so Oregon, Washington, obviously California, Napa Valley. We do pick up some stuff out in, Southern California. And then we also have trucks in New Jersey, which, it's a lot of imported wines, France, Italy, Portugal, wherever. And then also Texas. So we have a facility in Dallas. So I've actually ran some drayage from Houston, which blew my mind. I mean, it's a lot of your import wines, some people will relabel it, but yeah, anything pretty much, we just don't mess with the Midwest. So, Chicago, Denver's always a tough one because they just drink, the good old Colorado Kool-Aid, the banquets and stuff out there. But yeah, anywhere that touches water and anything south of 40. So
that's interesting. And I asked because I think you're exactly right. Like, to me, what's fun about logistics is that there's not just one solution that's always the best. Really different freight can move on different, modes. And by time of year, the price environment affects everything. And I guess I was thinking about that in particular. I heard some comments that really struck me from a maker of spaghetti sauce. And they were basically challenging him, saying like, hey, why don't you move more on rail? It's cheaper. And he said, well, look, if my sauce moves on rail and that car gets stuck in Chicago in the winter for an extra week, you've compromised the quality of my product. So now it's not only slower, but I've lost cargo. So that's why I've got to move on truck. I've got to keep moving, and I need that consistent temperature control. So, that's the fun thing about it to me is we're almost like physicians studying a really complicated system. We're never going to completely get it right, but we're always learning a little bit, every time we run into a new situation.
Bingo. And someone who also preaches learning something every day and perfecting your craft, Mr. Bill Robinson. He's got a question for you here. So he said, David, how does your solution assist with bottlenecks at CY terminals and intermodal service or IML service? I assume that, or that's not intermodal, but
yeah. Gosh, excellent. And Bill, I'm so glad that you're interested in what we're doing. So I guess I'll speak to the telegraph solution and then some other things that I've seen that are interesting. I think, what we can do is really just monitor it and dashboard it. And by that, I mean, gate in, gate out, monitor how long it's taking to move things in and out. And because of the volumes that we're starting to get, and by that, I mean, just having lots of rail cars in our system, we can see, how bad some of those delays are potentially across companies at certain choke points. That's something we're working towards. So it would be helpful in sort of a single source of truth on delay problems. And, I'd imagine that Mr. Robinson is speaking to some of the things that we've seen at the West Coast ports over the last couple of years where the railheads just get really backed up and everyone suffers. So one thing that I think that Telegraph itself can do is to record multiple companies' experiences there and dashboard it to give a vision of at least the scope of the problem. How well we can solve it right now, honestly, I don't think we can because we can't control, what's going on inside those facilities. If I take my Telegraph hat off, the thing that I pitched to Congress back when I was in front of them in, 2017, and I'll die on this hill. It'll never happen, but I'm going to seize this opportunity on your show to pitch the Correll idea again. I think the government, just like we have letter grades on restaurants all over the country from Department of Health, it's just say like you get an A grade from Department of Health, this place is fine. I think our warehouses, our distribution centers, our intermodal terminals should have a letter grade from the Department of Transportation based on how quick they move trucks in and out and how well they treat truckers, bathroom access, that kind of thing. Then let the market decide. If you're getting an A grade, I'll charge you this price. But if you get a C, you're going to pay for that. That's what I told Congress, and
Boom, dude.
See what happened. It didn't happen.
No, dude, that's spot on. I mean, because you got to think, man, you got these, huge corporate, Fortune 500 companies, Walmart, we'll call them, and it's like, oh, you show up, you better hit that 15-minute, window of this only appointment we have for the next 2 weeks. But once you're there, you better not leave for the next 4 to 6 hours because it's on our time, and it makes no sense, man. And it really is sad because, some of these newer carriers or the mega carriers, they can afford that, I reckon. But, if I'm an owner operator and like this load, means the world to me. Not only I'm burning, diesel sitting there, even if I got a decent APU generator running in the background, like that's still time and money wasted on me.
Oh, yeah.
And there should be some punishment. I mean, Pedro and I have been preaching this for a long time, and we've seen a lot of this, coming up here as of late. But like these shippers, receivers, whoever, like there needs to be some backlash. You got to be held responsible for how you're operating your business. I don't care how you look on Forbes, or oh yeah, we did all this donating, this, that, and the other. Like, how are you taking care of your people? Because it just makes everything worse. And I don't know how that process would start to make that grading scale. I love that. And I think you should trademark that, or at least, lock it up. I know we're live, but we can cut it out somehow.
No, I would join hands with anybody who wants to build it. And, a solution like Telegraph would be helpful to that in the sense that we could speak to rail cars getting on and off. Because really what you need, if you were going to do that, is a big basically count of how long every facility in the United States, which is a lot, took to load and unload freight. And so you need some single database of that. Telegraph potentially, although that's not on our roadmap right now, but potentially could do it for rail. But there's people doing it in trucking. There's a project called True Load Time where they're trying to make a database, of loading times across the country. There's Doc 411, which is an app for drivers that.
Oh yeah, we know who that is.
Those are the homies.
Yeah.
Yeah. So people, I think there's some interest in doing that kind of thing, and just to, I think certainly there's bad actors out there, and I don't want to say I even know what percentage of them, are truly bad actors, but I think there are also people running facilities out there that they don't know, or the people that have access to the budget to fix the problem don't know what's going on. So this kind of data, you could say like, look, you got to see here on your turn times. That's costing you money in tender rejections. It's costing you money in what people are quoting you for freight. That's a metric that could be passed up to those higher levels of management where maybe someone has the budget to invest in doing things a little better and could see the payoff for doing it.
But as much as it could be a don't know, it could just as well be a don't care. Because I know Pedro and I have dealt with a certain customer that is a don't care type. It's just, it's crazy. I mean, but see, like the idea of it's great, but it comes down to the implementation, like when is rubber going to hit the road to where it actually matters? Those people they give a shit about it. Because just as much as, we got these good carriers out there, people that actually care about it, like someone's always just gonna, turn a shoulder to it and say that, this isn't going to matter to me. But then it's that domino effect, man. The fabric of it all is getting thinned out, and that's the issue.
I'm with you, and I'm thinking just, maybe it's my nature to try to inject little bits of optimism wherever I can. So right now, as you guys, I'm sure, know probably better than me, we're in a low rate environment. And what typically happens in a low rate environment is shippers aren't as interested in being a shipper of choice or, being well regarded by the carrier community. And then as the rates start to pick up and the tender rejections start to pick up, that's when shippers would, come to my office looking for research like, well, how do we become a more more of a shipper choice. And so I bring that up in that, like, it's been so low for so long. At some point, this market's got to turn, and when that market turns, maybe there will start to be at least incrementally more shippers interested in making these kind of improvements.
Well, within that, man, so Pedro knows this being a broker, and I've dealt with it in the past, but you got certain carriers that run these areas, and if you get them on a call on, any of these load boards, or you reach out to them directly and you say, hey, I'm picking up from ABC, and they're like, the one on 3rd Street? Yeah, right.
Yeah.
You can take that and shove it up your
yes.
ass.
Oh my God.
But
yes.
this is
That's so
another.
fucking funny.
I mean, it's the truth, man. But see, that's and talk about hurting cats, dude.
I bet it's the same thing. I bet it's the same thing in like the drain and rail industry. You're picking up from that rail yard over there off of 60. No, thank you.
Yeah, pack bags and run. But I mean,
that's
dude,
so funny.
if you could gather that data, brother, I'm telling you right now, that's the game changer. Because the forecast, whatever, what happened here and there, like, because there's always gonna be some bad grapes in the bunch. But if you got old Dan that's been running the same route for 40 years, and he knows every shipper, carrier, broker, whatever, he knows the person that cleans the toilet down at the Flying J. Right off that exit, man. That's the stuff that really counts in my book. But I don't know.
And that was one of the things we were able to measure in one of the projects. So basically, when we went into studying the utilization, we just sort of open whiteboard what could contribute to excuse me, drivers getting more driving time per day, and just any idea out there, throw it up, and we'll come up with a statistical test to see if it works. And one of the things we saw is that if a driver was repeating visits to a facility, they were getting in and out faster. And it was like after the 3rd time, it was exponentially faster. It was much, much faster. And so then people thought, okay, well, what could that be? And, one of the, I think, leading hypotheses was, well, one, you already know where the entry gate is, where you're supposed to go, but also you have relationships with the people there.
Boom. That's it.
Human
right
aspect.
there, dude. That's it right there. It's the human. That is, I was waiting for, I was like, man, please let him say the right thing. Please let him say the right thing.
No. And that's what's fun about it is I think the people on the ground can explain sometimes what we observe in the data better than we can, because they say, oh, those 2 dots connect this way, which...
Oh, yeah, man. There's nothing worse when you got Jenny that's been working the docks for 20 years, and she's your best friend for the past 3, and then she's like, oh, my retirement hit, the pension's pretty good, and then you got, Steve walking in the door that's like, I don't know who any of you people are. I hate my job. I'm just doing this so I can pay the bills and feed my kids. You'll wait. It's like, no, please, no.
Yeah.
But... another piece of data, you're talking about maximizing your drive time during the day. Have you ever talked to Dean Croak?
Yeah, he's great.
Dude, his sleep studies that he's done, I think, could play into this big time as well.
Yeah. Oh gosh, I haven't talked to him in a while, but I always look forward to it when I've had the opportunity in the past. And he, if I recall right, is also a truck show guy, right? Like he's got a show truck. I believe.
Yeah. Yeah, he's
big time truck driver too.
Yeah.
He's like what, 5 million miler on 3 different continents.
Yeah, and
he's like a Gord, but a little bit more.
There you go. Yeah, there you go. Like a Gord. Yeah, I mean, there you go. That's exactly. And currently holds a CDL on 2 continents. You know what I mean? Wow. Like that. Yeah, here in America and in Australia, he has active CDLs.
And I feel like you can feel that in his commentary. I always appreciate listening to him when he's talking about markets, because there's just an experience to it that I've always appreciated.
Yeah, Dean's a good guy, man. I say, a lot of people find analytics boring after and stuff, but like Dean does make it interesting. He does, and he talks, and the dude knows what he's doing. I mean, he's been in this 50 something years or whatever. Like this guy knows what the hell he's talking about, man. Say what you want to say about who he works for, doesn't take away from the damn intelligence that the guy has.
I think he's got a teleporter too, because that guy is
everywhere, bro. Everywhere. You ain't lying, man. You ain't lying. All right, I have no idea what Bill's talking about here.
He's talking facts, man. So during the pandemic, like what I was talking about in Long Beach, man.
What does SSL mean? Containers by SSL. What's that?
Steamship line. So your Hapag Lloyds, your Maersks, your One Lines, your whoever. it really matters, dude. Evergreen, in my personal opinion, is the best freaking steamship line to run out of Long Beach because they don't charge for chassis and they give you like 7 free days, and they're very easy to work with. But others, like and this is all hypothetical talk just in case anybody, MSC, for example, they'll give you 2 days for pickup of the container full, and then they'll give you another 2 days to return that empty. However, when you got these terminals, they have a huge play in where you can return it, what times you can return it, because they overbooked their vessel, or during the pandemic, big time, man. There were a lot of people that were ghost booking. You got like China or some of these other countries that were ghost booking empty containers to get the big play on it, man. One of my biggest customers, we were running whey protein and cheese out of California and going to Long Beach. Well, this guy had a contract where originally per container was like $2,500 from wherever to like Houston or Long Beach. Dude, during the pandemic, it went from $2,500 to $25,000. So what does that create? That creates a lot of backup, but at the same time, me as the broker working with Mr. Freight Forwarder, working with Mr. 4PL, decreases the pay exponentially, dude. And especially in a time of COVID where like people that, didn't have contractual rates, there was a lot of money to be made. So yeah, what Bill's talking about too, man. You got demurrage or per diem. You take that trailer, you take that container out, and you got mad backup. I mean, I think at a certain point at the Port of Long Beach, at any given time, there were like 50 to 100 vessels anchored out, and then it moved up to Oakland, which same thing was, dude. Oakland is small potatoes compared to Long Beach, and then that moved from there down to Houston, which then trickled into Savannah and Charleston, which they took advantage of that, which that's what I say now, man. Savannah's dredging out and creating way more opportunities for vessels to come in, and the rail system, which feeds the entire Southeast. And same with Charleston. We just talked about that yesterday on the Drayage Junkies. Savannah's creating a major rail system there, which, David, I don't know if you knew about that. Something to look into. Huge rail system out of Charleston. So COVID was a big time learning experience. It's like, oh yeah, we'll just import everything from here to Long Beach and then we'll just ship it out. No. And I've even educated some customers, man. That one that I was telling you about that's coming out of Houston now, they used to import from Europe, Italy, wherever, and they were running it all the way through the Panama Canal to California just to ship out half of that product back through to Tennessee and New York. I'm like, all right, we can do it one of two ways. You can go to Jersey, because I got a customer along the way, but I'm like, he's not getting half a container load. So you can run it up to Houston, bring it to our port there in Dallas, and then split it up. And that's what we're doing. So it's, there's a lot of, there's a lot of preventative work to be done on this side as well. Just, everybody can point fingers at the steamship lines, which they needed to, it got to the point because they're owned by their own entities, man. Like it's, I don't even remember the numbers on it. It is like trillions of dollars. Just, any given freaking vessel can hold, $500 million worth of freight just given on what it is. But it got to the point during COVID, my customer, and I'll get off this tangent here or this rant, but he was saying that all of the port directors were going to get together at a certain point and create a lawsuit against the steamship lines because it had gotten so bad.
No, I think you and your viewer calls out a really important point that people in freight know, or people who work with ports know, but I think a lot of Americans didn't know until the supply chain hit us all in the face during COVID, was that, all of these steamship lines, or these big ocean vessels, none of them are really US based companies, but they are these vital lifelines into how we all live our lives. And they really don't have to do what we say. And, I think you're right. I heard similar rumors. And when I was at DOT, I saw some of those negotiations. Really, all that we really have to say to influence what a steamship line will do in terms of service to the United States is say, well, there are a lot of customers here. There's a lot of customers everywhere. I think that's always kind of changing. And in a lot of ways, we're in sort of an awkward balance with them meeting their global needs and us, as consumers, getting what we want from that kind of service. This idea, I was thinking about it as I was looking forward to our call today. I was thinking what are some of the bigger picture things that strike me right now? And I was thinking, I feel like none of us really have our heads around how good we have it at the moment in terms of consumers, in that I can jump on Amazon and order something from a factory half a world away, and it will be here quickly and cheaply and transparently. I just wonder, how long do we realize how impossibly convenient our life is right now, and how long that can last? And the analog I was thinking of, and I'm pretty old, so I was in my 20s when Napster and LimeWire came out, and I remember my friend showing it to me. They're like, "You don't have to pay for music anymore. It's all right here, Dave." And I was thinking, this is too good to be true. This can't last forever. That's a long way of getting at, I think, some of the things that we've become accustomed to in terms of logistics. Everything's really fast. Everything's really cheap. Can't last forever.
Well, all I know is LimeWire owes me a laptop from my middle school days.
Oh, no. The other trend. Oh, sorry. Just the other trend I was going to highlight from what you said, and it's something that I think too, for anyone in your community who's sort of looking for those longer term trends. I think that notion that inbound volume is going to increase on the East Coast, I really agree with, in part because of the expansions that's being done to the network down there, in part because of the expansion of the Panama Canal capacity. So it can now be possible to actually shift things on ocean vessels from the factories in China directly to the East Coast in ways that weren't possible before. So I think, long term, something to look at is, the growth of inbound volume to East Coast ports.
Yep. And then within what you're saying, earlier this year, the big tariff situation on hand, and what you're talking about is one of the first points I brought up. It's like everybody's like, "Oh, this is terrible." I'm like, well, stop buying cheap shit from China. Maybe it's good that we don't go on there, because I'm the same way, man. I love my Amazon, and it's like, I'll get some, laundry detergent, and it's like, oh, you just need $5 more so you get that free overnight shipping. And I'm like, yeah, I'll buy a little trinket, I'll get a little snail to remind me to slow it down every now and then. But it's good. But I think from COVID on, man, this is a huge, I don't even know what the term would be for it. It's, it's like we had the Industrial Revolution back 100-something years ago. Now we're in this new evolution or revolution of just how shit works in shipping. And it's, unfortunate that it took until now for the everyday American person that has no idea what logistics is, and you tell them, "Hey, I work in logistics," and they're like, "Oh, UPS." I'm like, yeah, at some point, but I think it's good. We've had some bumpy roads along the way, but I think here in the next, 2026 is going to be a shiny light compared to whatever we had, but by 2030, it's going to be a whole new ball game.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to for anyone to see out that far, for sure. But I definitely hear you that, at least in terms of trucking rates, it's gotta be different at some point. But one of the projections that we were talking about from the report I sent you guys before the show. So everyone's wondering, what is the impact of tariffs? We're all learning that every day, really. But one of the things that we predicted in our report is a meaningful decline in inbound volumes to ports, really meaning stuff from China in large part, through the end of the year, this year, and in the first 3 months of next year. And, so that has implications for how much is being carried on the rail, potentially has implications for the drayage community, thinking about how they want to be ready for, potentially lower unit volume for the next 6 months.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's like one of the articles we were reading on yesterday on Drayage Junkies. They're saying, oh, well, November, December, even October is the peak months for holidays, whatever, or even, I mean, we're thinking about February for Valentine's Day and, everything else that's coming in, but everybody front loaded because they didn't know what was going to happen. But you see, yesterday, there was implementation from the United States that relieved a lot of the charges on Chinese steamship lines. The tariffs coming down, and China reacted in the same way, and it's going to be carried out through January. So I think this is a beautiful time for everybody, like steamship lines, the government, the economies, to really have an opportunity to sit back and really kind of figure things out. And in my opinion, I think it's a pretty cool thing that even though like the costs are still going to be higher, to us, the consumer, on the products on the shelves, but that we there's an opportunity for this to be a kind of a normal thing, rather than let's just jam the ports full for 3 months at a time. Why don't we have a consistent, steady, volume and inbound volume? Because then for us, these other countries, man, I mean, I can't speak to exports because apparently that's been doing pretty well, but like, why is that not a normal thing? I mean, I'm going to pull up this graph that we talked about earlier because this really piqued my interest. Let's share this. So let's look right here. Yeah. So 2022, April, June, boom, big spike. April, big spike for summertime. But I don't know, man. Yeah, so you see October here. So like you were saying, that gets planned into October, September. Everything's coming in. And I'm not an analytical guy, so I'm just spewing jargon here. But
no, I think you're right on it. And so, what's kind of, I think, interesting to me, an update since we made that. So basically, we looked at historical volumes and then included in that some projections for what matters most to intermodal. So in this case, a lot of it is trade with China and Mexico. And let's see. So I think we published that in October, which means I finished it in like the middle of September or something like that. No. And I guess I bring up that timeline because at that time, the state of affairs was everything's really bad between the leadership in the US and the leadership in China. And the expiration of their truce will come in November. So we were thinking November was going to be when stuff really, even got worse. What happened was, just like you described, as November got closer, the leaders of the two countries kind of made up a little bit. And it turns out that maybe it's not as dire as we thought, which I think is good news for everybody. Mm-hmm. The angle on that I've been kind of testing out with my friends and, I'd like to test out with you guys is like, of course, it's great when I think, countries get along. Obviously, that's not that profound of a statement. But I think that just like if you have a friend who all of a sudden surprises you in a dangerous way, just like a buddy at a bar who, I don't know, never got in a bar fight and then gets in a bar fight.
Yeah.
Even if he says, that was a one-time thing, I'm not going to do that anymore. You're going to watch them differently for a while, and everyone's going to adjust to what they saw, And I think that's kind of what businesses are doing with their big investments now. Even though we've heard some positive headlines, things are returning to normal. Everyone's on edge. We've seen, in without warning, in a matter of moments, trade with China can get 140% tariff on it. That's going to scare people for a long time, even if it's calm for the next 3 months.
Nope.
We have tariff PTSD, man. That's what it is, bro.
No, I never did, dude. Like if you go back,
we're gonna start. No, hold on. We're gonna start seeing billboards on buses and fucking benches and stuff. Do you have PTSD from the tariff rise and falls? Or are you worried about how you're gonna sleep at night without your Amazon cart?
I think maybe
it's all bullshit.
Call Dr. Hound at 1-800-GO-LOUNGE.
you gotta watch out for the major news sources. You gotta watch out for the freight news sources. All right, because what do people like to see? Car crashes. People want to see chaos. Nobody wants to see the pretty puppy sitting on top of the truck. You know, they want to see the other side of that, which is unfortunate. But it's just, I don't know, man. I think just living through the COVID days, and anybody that lived through that and survived and made it to the end, like, knows how bad it really can be. A little tariff action, you know, like, hey, nothing wrong with a little pushback. And that's just my personal opinion, you know, like, hey, we've been getting beat down for so long and we know what's been going on here. Like, and I won't get into details, but hey, it's, I'm proud to see how people reacted to it, you know, like front loading. Like, that's cool. Now we're not in a struggle. People aren't freaking out buying all the Christmas trees and, you know, Christmas lights are like, these are the only ones on the shelves, which, you know, the Walmarts and the Jargets could have done that and, you know, made the shelves a little bit light and said, oh, yeah, you know, you're shopping online. Limited quantity remains. And then 2 weeks later, you're going on there saying, oh, do you like that product? Yeah, now it's 60% off. It's like, all right.
And that's, you know, really interesting because I think it's like the same thing happens at the national scale and the smaller scale in that, like, people in logistics, I think, reasonably just say, like, can't we just keep things steady? Like, why do we got to be jumping up and down all the time? Because I can't schedule my resources. I can't plan my week if things are up and down. So even within company, there's oftentimes a fight between logistics operations people on one hand and the marketing sales people on another hand who want to, like, put out a big promotion that's going to put a big bump in demand that everyone's got to right now. So the same dynamic occurs within companies and at a larger scale, that the logisticians would like everything to be steady Eddie, but, you know, other people.
I mean, it was there for a while, man. I mean, shit, when I first got in here, like 2017, 2018, the only big swing was if you were running produce. And they said, if you already see it on the shelves at a nice price, you're too late, you know? But now it's everything, which, you know, I mean, freight is obviously an up and down, but it shouldn't be on this type of scale where people are, you know, feeling the pink blanket or the pink mist, or whatever you want to call it, where, oh, freight rates are up and diesel's down a little bit. Let's boogie. We're back in action. But it's, you know, if you're not doing your research, then you're that broker that's charging a little bit too much. And then you got Joe Schmo that just graduated college coming in saying, like, oh, that's not what these rates are at all. And then boom, relationships go out the window. Everything gets messed up. Like, there's a lot of variables in this equation, and it is like a whole new ball game. My buddy right here, Mr. Pedro Potato, can speak to it more than anybody I know in this current market. Like, you know, someone that bases their entire life off of relationships and doing right by your fellow man and people that you can call a friend or anybody, you know, and then just getting kicked to the wind because of, like you're saying, sales department, like all these other little entities that come in. And unfortunately, it's still the same thing. Transportation, freight is always going to be at the bottom of the barrel, and shit gets bad, we get smushed. No matter how good you are. But I don't know.
Damn, you got him going tonight, David.
I was gonna say I wanted to leave some space for Pedro.
Golly, no, it's fine. It's great. I talk most shows. I even called Hunter earlier. I said, "Hey, bro." I've looked. I've talked to this guy. I was like, I've skimmed over his PDF a couple times. Looked at, like, done my research on him and stuff. I was like, but dude, like, he is in some stuff that I don't understand, Hunter. So, like, I'm really gonna need you to, like, kind of help me make sense of some of this stuff, because I'm on more of the traditional side, man. I deal with freight that goes on a truck. I understand rail, I understand steamship dray enough to where it allows me to do my job. But so Hunter was like, "Yeah, I'll do the best I can, Pedro. You know me, I just chill in the background." And it's good though. Like, you got to go, man. It's good because, like,
this is it, bro. That. Like, you've always known that, man. My approach to the freight since day one, it's the onion approach, dude. Everything's coming in off the ocean. I learned this in college. The main thing, this is probably the only thing I remember from college, is 85% of everything you see around you came on a boat at some point in time and came in on a truck. So you got stuff coming in from the oceans, you get it from the ocean on the container, you put it on rail, you put it on a truck, and it comes to you or the shipper, and boom.
So
There's
from this moment on, Hunter, I'm going to get some of that, like some church music, bro. Like some of that stuff when the preacher's going off, you know, and they're on the organ just and this is gonna be your Father Freight moment, bro. Like I'm gonna play it just slowly in the background where you just go on your thing, because that's what I'm thinking, man. Oh, that's
Hey, bro. All I'm saying is people like me and David, dude, we're the ones really watching out for the folks that do the traditional.
It's just, man, you know, it's just very rarely do.
It matters. It takes a little extra learning, you know, but. And here I am talking about me and David. David's an MIT guy. Shout out George.
I'm honored to be in your number. I want to be was it Father Freight?
Yo, man. Yeah, we did. We need to bring Father Freight back, bro. I think I still got some of those memes. So, a quick thing. Our first Halloween show, Hunter dressed up. He got a Pope outfit from a friend of his. Like his friend just had a Pope outfit, and Hunter was like, dude, I'm gonna wear that and I'm gonna call myself Father Freight. And it was great, bro. We did a whole bunch of memes, you know, like the first freight commandment and stuff, dude. Oh my God, we need to bring those back, dude. I still have all of those saved away in the Google Drive. Oh, that shit was so good.
Like the angle on it that I like so much that you were bringing too is and it's kind of the same thing that motivated the research back in the day. Was like, you know, all the stuff we say, volumes, that's numbers up and down, prices, that's numbers up and down, but it's people's lives at the end of the day, you know, like, and not only their take home income, but, you know, whether they make it home that weekend for a family event, like it's real tangible consequences of all this stuff. And I'm going to be clapping when Father Freight's preaching that to the community.
John said, last time I heard Hunter talk this much and this animated, you pissed him off about college football players getting paid for. I remember that shit, John.
All right, yeah. Well, the Tennessee Volunteers really broke my heart this year, so I got to get excited about something, man.
Oh my God. Oh, that's funny.
But yeah, I mean, there's a lot more than. I don't know. It's a whole. I mean, it's an ecosystem, if you want to call it that. Logistics is, if you know, it's like you got to think about nature back in the day. You know, you got your deer and your eagles, and you know the bugs that the frogs eat, and the frogs eat that, and the fish eats the frog. You know, and then you got humans coming into play. Crushes that frog. Now there's too many bugs, you know, or anything into play like that, man. Like it's we have fucked up this system so badly that you have to be granular about it. You have to. I mean, big picture for sure. Big picture is a start, and then move your way in. What caused this chain reaction to this, and then you know I'll be the crazy guy with the big pin board behind me. Freaking sweating, smoking a pack of cigs in 20 seconds.
Red strings between like the train and the truck and the No, I mean I think those physical sort of analogies to physical systems are, at least for me, helps me think things through. And the one going back to where we started our conversation on the truck driver shortage, the analogy that helped me get my head, you know, kind of around my perspective on that whole thing was that like I don't think there's a shortage. It's a misdiagnosis, but there's still. You know, I'm going to use sort of a physical doctor's office analogy. There's still a patient presenting with a problem. And so that problem, you know, I've been on the receiving end of shippers saying, particularly, you know, in a different market than today, like, I can't get a truck. There's a shortage. Why can't I get a truck? And all this stuff. So there's people feeling something, just like a person walking into a doctor's office saying, hey, I've got this problem. I think the shortage was a misdiagnosis, like saying, well, the problem is that the patient doesn't have enough blood. When in reality, it's a circulation problem. The patient has enough blood. It's just not able to circulate through the system effectively, and that's why they're coming to the doctor. And to my mind, that's the same thing with the driver shortage. It's not that we don't have enough drivers, just like it's not that the patient doesn't have enough blood. It's that the drivers in the system are getting gummed up with all of this detention and all of these scheduling hiccups that we're not able to move the freight efficiently, and that's why the patient came to see the doctor.
Yep.
Is I think how it makes sense in my head.
No, I mean that's I mean it's like, oh, my hand, my joints hurt on my hand. Oh, well, you have carpets on it. Well, no, that's not the case for everybody. I could have slammed my hand in the door, But if you're going to do this mass diagnosis where it's like, oh, okay, yeah, I've seen this before. There's a the doctor analogy, nature analogy, whatever, man. It's like it's the butterfly effect, if you want to call it that.
And just to put one more, kind of push for rail, because we spent so much time on trucking, which I'm happy to do, but I think sometimes shippers move to trucking. Certainly there's a price motivation, there's a convenience motivation, but another way we could get more out of our community of experienced drivers is by embracing more intermodal solutions. And so, hopefully some of the stuff that we're doing at Telegraph helps make that shipper, particularly as people in these jobs are younger people who are used to, Amazon style interface when they're shopping, or a Google flight style interface when they're buying flights. We can help people feel comfortable putting the right stuff on rail and the right stuff on truck and the right stuff on a mix of the two, because I think that can help the system run more efficiently also.
Well, if you have time next Tuesday at 12 o'clock Central, I'd love to have you on as a guest for Drage Junkies. And that's what we'll cover.
Awesome. Let me check. And if not that Tuesday, we'll find another Tuesday.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Because I didn't mean to get so far off of the rail side of it, but this show could go 4 hours easily. But I think you'll be one of our first people that's a segment, in a sense. That
all I gotta say is David, next to Dean Croak. I'm sorry, you have to be under Dean Croak because you don't have a truck and you don't have a CDL on two continents, David. Okay,
that's fair. That's
fair. Under Dean Croak, man, like David's been like the funnest analytics guy. David, I will tell you, we have almost a hard no at people that want to fucking talk like analytical stuff and data and everything. And it's not because it's not fantastic information. It's just because they are usually a snooze fest. You know what I mean? It's like, dude, you see the views go up and then they go. So, yeah, but dude, you're a very invigorating person, man. The excitement that you have behind the stuff, man, I think like really is what pulls people into it. And I'm extremely like interested in everything you were saying, man. The way that you put it out there for people to digest is very easy, which I think is another problem that a lot of analysts and research data people have is they compile stuff and they put it out in a way that they understand it. You know what I mean? And they don't, a lot of them don't realize, like, man, like, dude, I may be talking to someone that only has a fucking GED. You know what I mean? Or someone with only GED may be saying this. Like, I need to have it have bright colors and, you know what I'm saying? Big font. You know what I mean? And so I say that to say that, man, dude, like, I enjoyed like listening to everything you said, David. I really did. And I had already planned to, but now I am very much excited to go back and spend time on reading that PDF instead of just skimming over it, to get some idea of who you are and the things you do. And so very, very interesting stuff, man. I love your knowledge on this, man, on this side of things, dude. Very, very, I don't know what else to say. I just don't. I'm just talking to talk at this point, honestly.
Insightful.
Very kind of you. Thank you.
Yep. Well, let's give a shout out to our two late friends here. DIY Semi.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, yeah.
What's up, man?
DIY Semi Late.
Yeah.
As always.
That's what he said. Always late story of my life. Before you even said that, he said always late story of my life.
Yep.
Clint, my question for you is, Clint, are you parked in reserved parking tonight? You bougie little truck driver, you. always talk crap. That Clint will see sent me a couple pictures like, look where I'm parked tonight. Front row of the truck stop, his reserved parking. And he's like, I was like, man, come on, dude. Well, David, we're gonna wind it down here. Only because we've been going an hour and a half. I still got some work to do. I have 171 lane RFQ that I've got to go do and redo rates on by like noon tomorrow. Which I can only have myself to blame for that. It should have been done yesterday, but you know, it is what it is.
Truck show blues.
Yeah, dude, the truck show blues. That is what's up, Denise. Glad to have you here. Hope you and Paul made it home or made it to wherever
Denise
you're.
Related to Long Haul Paul?
Yes, that's his wife.
Oh, hello. I am such a Long Haul Paul fan. Please tell him that I said hello.
Oh my God.
That's
that is so crazy, man. Where's my poster is out of arm's reach. Hunter may have his. Paul.
I got my Long Haul Paul CD right here.
Dare we say Paul is a very good friend of ours. We absolutely love Paul.
I finally got my signed Long Haul Paul poster.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm jealous. That is awesome.
Yeah,
Paul's talk about getting some insight from the ground. Start coming to some truck shows, man.
Oh,
you have to make your way a little bit south for Paul and them. I don't know. They might go a little bit north, but
I would love it. I had the
awesome
opportunity
people.
to talk with Paul a while ago, and I still think about it. So, hello, Paul. Hello, family.
That comment, he said, he's talking about you saying you're a big Long Haul Paul fan. That's what Steven's referencing. Like, that may just get you into seeing shit.
Hey, I'll take it.
Oh man, that's good stuff, awesome. Man. Paul is an amazing guy. We'll have to get with you, David, man. Maybe we can get with Paul and hook you guys up. Maybe get him to sign something for you and whatever. So. Paul's a fantastic human being.
That's
man.
crazy.
We love Paul. That is nuts. I can't believe that when he said that is so. You were the man. That's fucking crazy. Oh,
I saw the last name. It's unique last name. That Merhofer. So
yeah,
it's got to be.
Yeah. But hey, from that, David, before we go, you are now an official lounge lizard, which is a term of endearment. So
I love it.
Anytime you want to come back on the show, give updates for yourself. Telegraph, or Paul hops on the show every now and then, man, so you can talk to him here. But you're always welcome, brother. Thank you so much for chilling with us, and we'll definitely get with you about hopping on the Junkies at some point. But man, this has been a great conversation, and something, in my personal opinion, very important for people to think about, because a lot of what we hear is from the ground, but at the same time, like Pedro was saying, seeing it from the analytical side is most of the time hard to eat, hard to sit through, hard to understand in the most part, and you make that easy. So thank you for doing what you're doing, man. And stay on the good path, man. Like Pedro was saying, you got to do some research, aren't you, man? Or just hang out with you a little bit more. So
let's do it. Thank you, guys. And thank you for being interested in what I'm doing and what the team that I work with is doing at Telegraph. We really appreciate you guys giving us a chance to talk about it. Thank you.
Yeah, man. Yeah. We're definitely gonna have you have you back on, man. Hey, you know what? Since Dean Croak is spoken for by Dat, we can make David our analytic. That's what we need to do.
Let me clear with the boss man, but that sounds pretty fun.
We'll have David be our analytics guy, man. Oh, lovely. Hey, David, you're more than welcome to hang out with us. We're just going to do a quick little sponsor break, and then we'll end the show. We usually talk backstage for about 5 minutes, just kind of wrap stuff up. But if you need to go, by all means, do not be shy and hop off. But again, you're more than welcome to stay. That said, our good buddy old Paolo friends over at Freight Ninja. Y'all know what they do. They do truck parking, but they do it on a different level, and they offer all kinds of different services. This isn't just about one night in one truck. It's one truck, it's a fleet. Maybe you have a lot of assets, right? But you don't have a terminal. You could use their yard as overflow for your assets. You're talking to these shippers, you could use it as a drop yard, get those same overflow assets, pick a yard that's near one of these shippers, these receivers that you may deal with, and you can put your trailers there, make it easy for your drivers to switch out. So they've got a ton of options, ton of solutions for everything that you need out there for your truck parking. You can hit them up, freightninja.com, 844-303-1505. Make sure you use code Lounge Ninja and get yourself some special rates. And next we have our good buddy, which he'll be here on Friday, our friend Clint Weston, Shoreline Capital. They are hands down the best factoring company in the game. Everyone say what you want. We feel the fact that they're the only factoring company we have ever represented says everything that you know about them. You can get your money as soon as same day, or you have it within 24 hours into your bank account. They have a fuel card via the EFS network. They help you with credit checks on shippers and brokers, and their rates, unlike a lot of other people, they start really low already, 2.5%. And I asked Clint, hey, Clint, how low will you go? And he says, that really depends. We could take it as low as we want because he's the owner of the company. He can do whatever the heck he wants. So make sure you hit them up, ShorelineCapital.com, 801-605-8822. Make sure you use code SureThing365. You can get your first invoice up to $2,000 for free. So there you go. Make sure you hit our lovely sponsors up. Mr. Hound, you got anything to say before we get out of here, man?
I was like, I was just thinking, how low can you go? How low can you go?
That's a good one, man. I like that. I almost have to find a way to put that into an ad for him. That's a good one. How low can you go? I like that. Dude, I'll put like Clint's head over someone doing the limbo. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I'd want to ask his permission before we do that.
Yeah. Anyway, what else you about to say?
Fantastic show, man. Yeah, it's, as the comment said, it takes a bit to get me riled up about talking about the old freight, which I love it. I'm always here for it. But if Pedro doesn't hit his talking quota for the day, his wife Kat will make him disappear, and we don't want that. So it's
dude, actually it's she doesn't want me to hit my talking quota. So no, man. Hey, Hunter, I mean, dude, I like when you have a lot to say about stuff. I know.
I mean, dude, it is like, I mean, you've heard me preach it forever, man. Like it is the onion, and everything that happens from the outside in matters to each and every one of us. I mean, for the road drivers, man, over the road, like, I don't think a lot of people understand how much it really affects everything that's going on, from the tariffs to, the charges that get hit from the ports and in, that all trickles down, like I was saying, the freight or the 4PL to, from that customer to the 4PL to the drayage carrier, to the broker brokering that out, to the warehouse charging from that move to, you're getting charged from the steamship lines onto the detention from, or, the layover from, like that all adds up in the long run. And it's something that's been needed to be addressed for a long time. And I think it finally is, with, what Telegraph has going on and all these other folks in the industry. But, in my opinion, that's where the technology matters. That's where the numbers really matter. We talk about tender rejection rates. That's the first time that I've heard that get brought up, and it really mattered. So, these conversations are vital. Anybody listening, I'll just look at the analytics. Folks tuning in for 10 seconds are missing out on a lifetime worth of information that could make your life better by tuning into Logistics Lounge. So, anybody that's still tuning in, I challenge you to tell your friends the same thing. Watch the show. It's not just goofballing around. It's stuff that matters to your bottom dollar, driver or not. Your kids, grandkids, grandparents, mom, pops, your freaking neighbor that you hate or love, it's all relative. So yeah, it gets me fired up.
Cue awesome church music. I am so gonna download that. Man. I am so gonna download that for you, bro. All right.
I need Jake breaks in the background.
Jake breaks in the back. Yeah. Well, are you good?
I'm good. Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. I'm
Oh,
good
we
too.
got another late friend tuning in.
What's up,
Lefty.
Lefty? Oh, Lefty, man.
Great seeing you this
Dude,
past
I
weekend,
shit-
brother.
Oh, Van, bro. Damn, Van, dude. The way that he messes with Lefty, bro, like him to stuff him and Lefty same each other when Lefty was walking across the damn field. And it was like, give Lefty a hand, everybody. Like,
Well, haven't you heard? Truck Parking Club stole Lefty's right hand.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and drove away with it. You can ask him. That's not just a joke. That ain't no jab. Love our friends over there at Truck Parking Club, but Lefty's righty is out there in one of them big
Lefty's
yellow vans.
righty. Oh, my God. Oh, man. People are probably like, what the fuck are these people talking about?
Well, if you don't know, go check out Left Lane with Lefty.
There you go.
And he'll tell you the whole story. We got to get Lefty on the show again.
We do.
Man.
I thought, has Lefty been a guest?
Friday?
Has Lefty been a guest himself, or has he just been on?
I believe he has. I don't know.
I can't remember either. I know he's been on. I just don't know if he's been like a guest yet.
No, he actually hasn't been a guest. So
I don't think he has been a guest
for that.
Yeah, we need to do that. Lefty, we actually have 2 show dates left in the year. So, and they're both in December, just so you know. That are open, I should say. 2 show dates that are open for the year. So if you want to come chill with us, then let us know to be a guest. But you're always welcome on freestyle days, Lefty. You know that.
I'd make an extra day for him.
Yeah, whatever, dude. I don't care. Lefty's the homie, bro.
I mean, we still owe him money for being our Uber driver from.
Fuck nah. Hey, listen. That dude cost me to lose 5 pounds in that 10-minute ride.
Yeah, so even more.
1-star rating for not caring about passenger
when
comfort.
you write your manifesto about your weight loss journey, you better include that 5 pounds that Lefty helped you with.
Oh my God, dude. Oh, Lefty. We love you, Lefty. You know that, bro. Always got to get that man shit. All right, man. I'm going to get off here. I'm hungry and I got work to do. So I'll holler at you later. Don't jump out. Like, stay backstage. I want to tell you something that I realized while we're doing the show here. That's pretty cool. So
I got you.
As I always say, well, first of all, thank you everybody for watching. We really appreciate it. If you see Hunter from Truck Park Club, he's in Dallas getting my arm.
we have the reward is one right-handed high five.
Oh my God. Oh shit. All right, thank you everybody for watching. Wonderful show. David was amazing. We will be back Friday with Clint Weston, founder, owner of Shoreline Capital. He's going to come on and tell us his story about how he took his experience from 20 years in the banking and financing industry and decided to flip that and to help people grow with their money. And Clint's favorite saying is, I don't want you to be a customer of mine forever. I want you to be able to be on your own, support yourself financially. So we're going to talk to him about all of that. Lovely guest. And as I always say, chunk the deuces. Mr. Hound, roll that beautiful bean footage.
The views and opinions expressed on this show by its guests are not necessarily those of Lounge Media Group or the show host. So if you sue someone, make sure it's the party responsible for hurting your feelings. Also, grow up, be an adult, and understand not everyone thinks like you. And that's okay.